City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas.
Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile, and on every street corner,
Silver bells,
silver bells,
silver bells.
silver.
It's Christmas time in the city.
Ring-a-ling,
Hear them ring.
hear them ring.
Soon it will be Christmas Day.
Strings of street lights, even stoplights, blink a bright red and green as the shoppers rush home with their treasure. Hear the snow crush, see the kids rush. This is Santa's big day, and above all this bustle, silver bells.
The corner Santa Claus
Silver bells.
is busy now because
It's Christmas time
in the city. Ring-a-ling,
It fills the winter air.
hear them ring.
You hear it everywhere.
Soon it will be Christmas Day. City
Silver
sidewalks,
bells.
busy sidewalks, dressed
Silver
in holiday
bells.
style. In the
It's
air,
Christmas
there's a
time
feeling
in
of
the
Christmas.
city.
Children laughing,
Ring-a-ling.
people passing,
Hear
fading
them
smile
ring.
after smile. Very
Soon
soon
it
it
will
will
be
be Christmas.
Transition from the YMCA to the city, the practice of engaging has not seemed to be valued. Over the past several months, the board have not known since the transition. The board of trustees has worked collectively and collaboratively to develop policies for your approval. Please know the Board of Trustees never sent a policy to your legal counsel without first consulting the leadership team at the campus. Consulting them in advance has been a tremendous asset in developing sound policy regarding operational issues. As you move forward and/or the next Board of Trustees, I hope that the practice of engaging those people that will be impacted by your decisions will prevail at the council level. I would encourage you to engage all stakeholders in the decision-making process. Formulate decisions based on complete and accurate information. Seek diversity of thought and work diligently to build consensus through trust and transparency and communication. To ensure the ongoing success at the Wellness Campus, I would suggest you consider viewing the Wellness Campus as a community asset and supporting it financially. Integrating the Wellness Campus into the city's organizational structure on equal footing with other departments. Utilize institutional knowledge and professionalism of the leadership team and the Board of Trustees. Finally, in valuing that institutional knowledge, you might want to make sure the new pickleball courts do not negate the expense already incurred in the original building design to add a therapy pool. As a pickleball player, I'm very grateful for the addition of the courts as they do add value to the area. Hopefully they will be lit so we can play day and night. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I will leave you with some financial data and some questions for you to review at your leisure. And please know that all the qualitative data that you find here was provided by the leadership team, and basically all I had to do was ask, and they took care of it. So again, thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you so much. The next individual is Lowell Johnson, or Jocelyn, I'm sorry. The first name and the last name, I apologize. I have an attachment, Jackie. After the meeting, if you wouldn't mind, we'll make a copy so we can disperse to everyone. Okay.
Good evening. I've put together a brief statement that I left with the clerk. She's got copies of what I'm going to read. I'm Lowell Jocelyn. I live at 1011 West Ashland Avenue here in Indianola. And I've utilized the facilities at the Indianola YMCA facility, which later transitioned into the Indianola Wellness Campus since it was built in August of 2013. I've lived here for 40 years and never had a need to address the city council. I hope I'm not just tilting at windmills, but I'm here to express some concern. I'm greatly concerned about the future of the IWC. And after I read the items that appeared in the Indianola Advocate on December the 16th, they read as follows. The council already faces an agenda with key items on it. Under the city manager's report, Reeves is slated to report on the Indianola Wellness Campus. All 7 members of the IWC's Board of Trustees resigned last week. A letter from the board said the group has been trying to develop a direction for the Wellness Campus. Unfortunately, we have not received the support, direction, or cooperation from the city, which has severely impacted our ability to be effective in our role. We have been left out of critical discussions about the future of the IWC, surprised with unexpected demands and candidly misled. This should be a major wake-up call for the council, our mayor and city manager, and I hope you're listening. The IWC is a fantastic facility, and I want the facility to be viable and sustainable for many years to come. I use this facility typically Monday through Friday, and I attend water exercise classes. We have very many loyal members that have been there since the facility was the Y. We're all worried about the future of the facility. We all want the same thing. We want the IWC to become sustainable and exist for many years to come. Many other cities would love to have such a fantastic facility as ours. You need to work harder at making this facility successful. We hear stories of the city working together with some development company to utilize the land the IWC sits on for development of a housing project, parking lots, and an agreement to utilize the facilities at the IWC for a small fee. I was told this agreement would be for 5 years. This seems to be a long period of time for me. I wonder if this agreement locks in the current wellness campus facility to the footprint that it now has with the possibility of no expansion. I seem to remember the possibility, maybe something from the original master plan of adding a therapy pool at some point in the future. That won't be possible if there's no room to expand. I know that membership has increased at our facility, but more needs to be done. We need to continue marketing efforts to increase membership. More memberships means more money that can be used to address aging equipment and facility repairs. When the Y left, they left the IWC with many aging facility issues that need attention now. The HVAC system in the recreation pool was just fixed. The HVAC system in the competition pool is being fixed. I want to see Indianola grow and prosper. And by having a facility like the wellness campus, it would encourage people to locate here. We have lots of seniors, and I see many of them at the wellness campus. We all thrive better because of this facility. I want it to be around for many years to come. I hope all of you want this facility to thrive. I'm not so sure. When the facility was a Y, they always would hold a fundraising campaign at the first of the year. I would give every year. I have asked staff about the possibility now, and I'm told that they do not have things in place for them to take donations. People are willing to give, and many do so with a smile. Please encourage the city attorney to put things in place for donations to happen. I cannot finish without thanking Heather Hewlin, the IWC Executive Director, and all collectively her staff for the wonderful work they do. They help make us healthier, and we love them for their efforts. The IWC has some of the most dedicated employees this city has. You should be proud of the facility and those that work there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next sheet I have is Angie Jensen.
Mayor and council members, do I have to say my name? Angie Jensen, 1601 Fairway Drive, Indianola. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts tonight. Indianola has an incredible community asset in the IWC. Driving north out of town looks very different than it did 15 years ago. The IWC has driven economic growth and attracted people to the community while being an anchor on the north side of town. Historically, when people have spoken about the relationship between the Y and the city, it has often been through the lens of the city bailing the Y out. The city in the role of rescuer and the Y, and now IWC, in the role of needing assistance. That line of thinking does not lend itself to unity and needs to change. Embracing this shift in thinking is a critical first step in ensuring the IWC's long-term success. The building located at 306 East Scenic Valley Avenue has always been owned by the city. We are on the same team. Being on the same team means removing the current culture of working in silos and working together in a transparent manner. All parties knew the transition from the Y to the IWC would be a phased process, and it would take an investment of city resources. I am grateful for the time city staff has spent to make the initial transition happen. I am thankful for the IWC leadership team and staff who have always put members first. The current staffing levels are not sustainable. When the Y first opened, there were 8 full-time staff members. Today, there are 3. Each staff member is juggling multiple roles, and there is simply no margin left. There is also no end in sight. I am thankful for the IWC trustees. They were a dynamic group who saw the value of the IWC. Trustees showed up willing to come up with solutions. We expected surprises throughout the transition, but we didn't anticipate the surprises coming from the city. We have continuously pivoted as city leadership introduced new leadership structures, hired consultant groups, and entered into agreements. After repeatedly experiencing a lack of consistent direction and receiving mixed messages, we have reached a point where we needed to draw a line in the sand. It concerns me that when seeking clarification about how the IWC was listed on the agenda for tonight, the response back was that discussing the IWC tonight would be premature. I fully agree the IWC deserves a meaningful discussion. However, the lack of any dialogue only reinforces the trustees' decision to resign. Do I need to stop?
You can. Sure, Steve.
Thank you. My fear is that lack of closure tonight makes it too easy to turn those who will soon be departing into scapegoats. Solutions are needed, not finger pointing. I want to be clear that the trustees' resignation is final and immediate. The IWC is a community centerpiece and hub that needs to be invested in, including adequate staffing, sustainable finances, and realistic resources to fully incorporate and complete the transition into city operations. Trustees leave with more questions than answers and know there is still much valuable work to do. We want nothing but the best for the IWC and the city of Indianola's future. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room that hasn't filled out a form and would like to speak? Be on any topic? Okay. We did have a couple. This person is here. Is Paul and Maureen here? Okay, I will read this statement they sent in, and it says, in regards to the Indianola Activity Center, before the Indianola City Council rushes to repurpose the Activity Center into a new police headquarters, I would respectfully ask that they consider the impact this would have on many people of all ages who use this facility on a regular basis. The heart of the Activity Center is the Buxton Room, which features a large open area, the perfect venue for line dancing, pickleball, small free concerts, informative lectures, father-daughter dances, voting, etc. To cram these activities into City Hall, the Wellness Center, or any other suggested place is simply unacceptable. Also, the Buxton Room is named such to recognize the many donors who gave generously to make the Activity Center the pride of Parks and Rec Department and the envy of the many other communities. Converting the Activity Center to a city administration building and relocating the many other activities taking place under that roof would dishonor the contributions of Bill and Betty Buxton and many others who gave their money specifically to make the Indianola Activity Center a place of education, recreation, and cultural events, and definitely not a cop shop. Please do not repurpose the Indianola Activity Center. Paul and Maureen, I'm gonna just spell the last name. You weren't sure either. It's Dalluge. Is Jan being here? Did not have anything in her comments, so. If she's not here, we'll move on. Somebody else would like to read an email? Sounds like a mayor pro tem. We'll let Councilmember Richards send you the next one. It is the last email, but I've been talking a lot. So we'll share this.
Okay, from Bonnie McKinney. It says the mayor and Indianola City Council members. My name is Bonnie McKinney, 78-year-old retired teacher. I stayed in Indianola after graduating from Simpson College and have been a homeowner here for over 52 years. I joined the Y as soon as it opened to continue to pay dues at the Indianola Wellness Campus. I joined so I could use the competition and recreational pools. I have COPD, 2 knee replacements, and arthritis. Doctors advised me that water walking and water aerobics could help these conditions. They do. I can spend an hour 5 days a week in the pool. I can swim, walk in the pool without experiencing shortness of breath. The water also helps the arthritis in my back and hands. Not only does the pool help me physically, it also introduced me to an excellent staff, and I've made many new friends. Many of these friends drive from Carlisle, Pleasantville, Lacona, Milo, and other rural areas. Campus is welcoming and a positive place together. The campus is operating in the red. It's difficult to maintain the facility. New equipment is needed. Repairs are expensive. However, this facility is an asset to our town and community. It's unfortunate that both the high school and college do not pay maintenance fees. We need extra income for its upkeep, parking, and the surrounding grounds. I certainly do not have the details of the proposed additional sports park. I do know, however, that all the wellness campus needs the facility, parking areas, and land. I've heard that this new facility that is under consideration and vote offered to pay $25 an hour to use the pools. Really? How much will that fee cover the pool's maintenance, lifeguards, shower facilities, and other staff? What will it do to the swim teams who practice there and host meets? How will it affect swimming lessons? I do not feel this proposed project has been transparent to the public, nor has the public received additional information. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the council meeting tonight. I do ask that my letter be read at the meeting or that each member receive a copy. Thank you, Bonnie McKinney, 1006 West Clinton Avenue, Indianola. Pass that back up.
And thank you, Jackie, for sending all of these. They should be in your email. And then we will get more statements sent out to everybody. Okay, moving on to first, anybody else? Without public comment. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be pulled? I see none. Can I get a first and second motion on the approval of the consent agenda?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. On the consent agenda tonight, we will be setting a resolution at the public hearing on January 6th. This is for a development agreement with the Wesley Life Retirement Community in the village. There's also a resolution setting a public hearing for a urban renewal plan for the Emerald Bay development. That'll be set for January the 20th. There will be also we have a approval of a final payment application to IMU for streetlights on the East Hillcrest Avenue project, and we certainly appreciate their support and help in that project. We have an approval of a liquor license for Fiesta Jalapenos restaurant, a liquor license for Spirits of the World, and a liquor license for Sticks and Balls. Third consideration of an ordinance related to our solid waste. Second consideration of an ordinance related to Amendment 8 of the Hillcrest Unified Urban Renewal Plan. This is the one that was our base that we needed to remove things from in order to create new urban renewal districts for our city moving forward. H is a second consideration for the Kentucky Ridge Urban Renewal Plan. This is the new one related to the 51 townhomes and 3 commercial pad sites over by Walmart and Scooters area. First consideration of ordinance for the Summercrest Hills Urban Renewal Area Plan. We'll talk a little bit more about that later this evening, but this is the $29 million investment of the areas north of ABC. Our community there. A resolution approving a payment application for T&K Concrete related to the North End Street project. And this change order was brought to the council after the fact when it was in process, because we were trying to beat the weather and we had some significant issues out there. So the council was made aware of that one, but great to see that project come together and be completed before the winter weather really truly set in. Resolution approving a change order number 8 for the water resource recovery facility. This is the closeout, and so it's good to see that reduction in cost there. Resolution approving an agreement with HR Green for South C Street Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. Resolution approving an agreement with HR Green for the Iowa F Avenue Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. Resolution approving an agreement with Snyder and Associates for the 14th Street Watershed Study Project. Resolution approving a final payment for the Downtown Square Reconstruction Project, another great project completed this year. Resolution approving the bylaws for the Safety Committee. A resolution approving residential anti-displacement relocation assistance for the CDBG grant. That was a federal step in the process for us to receive that federal grant and the facade improvements that we're going to be seeing downtown. A resolution approving a lease termination agreement with Regions Bank. We did try to work with them extensively to try to keep them in our community, offering many different sites for them to potentially look at, and ultimately they decided to leave town altogether. So this terminates the lease agreement with them. Resolution approving Mr. Wade Wagner to be the interim city manager at the end of the evening after my final meeting is over. Resolution authorizing a termination of an intergovernmental agreement with Catch Des Moines. This is the stepping away and starting that 18-month period to step away from Catch Des Moines. And a resolution approving a site plan for the Indianola Veterinary Clinic. This is over on the in support of the Emerald Bay development and the improvements there that will bring in the Quick Start. And we're filing the 2024 annual financial report, some urban revitalization designation, and salaries as well. Long.
Is there any questions? Nina, Jackie.
Councilmember Ray,
Aye.
Shelby,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Richardson.
Moving on. Council reports. The Indianola Public Arts Commission presentation on Illuminate Indianola. You and Jackie be running this? Before you begin, Bob, I would like to as well thank you for your service to the city of Indianola for serving on Bravo. Later in this evening, we will be talking about appointments, and I think we would value if you have any recommendations as well too, that live in town to take on that place. So choose to fill, Bob.
Thank you, thank you. My name's Bob Kling. I'm here on behalf of the Indianola Public Arts Commission. I'm the outgoing chair, and Justin Estrella, where's Justin? Justin, stand up. Justin is the new chair, and we have some other members. One of the members are here tonight. If you'd stand up right quick and introduce yourself so they know.
Grand Art.
Jamie Hansen.
That may be. Anyway, I'm excited to be here because we have a great idea, a great plan for some public art. I'm also excited because I'm on this side of the desk, but can't help it. The alleyway between Grant McGraw's place and I think it's the city's now, the city's building, not the county, the one that has the very, very narrow pathway to our refurbished parking lots. It's not very well lit. So what we're trying to do, we have a great art project, and we're going to solve a problem, because the problem is it needs to be lit. And if you're going to do something to light it, to make it safe, you know, and we want to be able to invite people from that back parking alleyway to the square. And the best way to do that is through art. Now, if you want to try and get any grants, you can't, like for Bravo or anything else, you just can't get grants on lighting. or decorative lighting, but you can on artwork. And so we have worked to find lighting artists. And we have a great proposal. We interviewed a couple of lighting artists. There's not a lot around. And we have come up with, she is the person we have chosen, which is Lori Hepner, has come up with a great plan, not only to give us artwork, but to light this so it's not only safe, but it'll be an inviting environment that'll draw people downtown and to bring them through that alleyway. What's the best way? We started this, how long has it been on this project? 9 months, or has it been longer? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, because I think they submitted the application to Bravo.
Yeah.
spring, winter.
So trying to find lighting artists is not an easy thing. We were able to, we put out an RFQ and went through and interviewed the artists. And so I think we've got a PowerPoint that will kind of show and explain, what it is we're gonna do, and then we'll be able to answer every and all your questions about this, so. If you look, that's the alleyway. It will be composed of murals on both sides, but there will also be interactive lighting that's going to take place along this wall. And the concepts you're seeing now are just concepts. They're not anything cemented in stone. The artist intends to come to Indianola and work with community members and get their feedback and work with them to help develop exactly what ideas are going to be put into the murals and, of course, the lighting. So. She has done a lot of work with lighting, where she has wands that she works with and is able to work with community members. And by using these wands, we'll create these special lighting effects that will be projected down onto the walls and onto these murals. She is from Pennsylvania. Yeah.
The other thing was the budget.
Yes, the whole project, it's a $50,000 budget for this project. We received a $25,000 grant from Bravo. And we basically right now have all but $6,000 of this for this project. So all we have left, and that's pretty good, $6,000 left to raise for the project. There are several questions. For example, lighting, is this going to go on all the time? Well, obviously, it doesn't have to be going on all the time, but it has to be lit so it's safe of an evening. Any lighting effects and lights can be put on timers that are adjustable. There's a long lifespan on the equipment. Any other questions you may have?
No, we did meet with staff from the city and IMU to discuss any things that we weren't thinking of that might need to be addressed, and they were all in support of the project. And we met with Grant McGraw as well.
Grant.
He's very supportive of the project.
Pretty great. You guys got any thoughts? Any questions?
Quick question, is there any concern on the building that we're acquiring? I know we've done there's been a lot of structural work done. Is that work done? And I assume it'll be resurfaced as part of that. It's not gonna be where you guys do a beautiful piece of art that.
Well, when I first looked into this project and went to the county when they owned it and asked a little about it, and they were all gung ho and everything was great, but they said, but not sure we're gonna own the building. And I said, well, I have a concern because it is clad in metal, obviously for a reason.
Yeah.
And I know right now, the way it is clad is very safe. It is structurally sound and everything else, but that probably will not be removed because.
Given your experience, I trust your opinion on structural stuff, Bob, but we, like Ben, staff, I mean, Bill, you're coming in late for this stuff, but someone in that department, are we sure we're good on this before we?
We talked with Tim Little too.
Okay.
And he said that even if something was done, that panel can be taken off and put back on without damaging the artwork,
Okay.
so.
Or guys, it would be a shame to do all this
Mhm.
to immediately undo it.
Yes, and we were insistent, talked to a number of people, we wanted to make sure that throughout this project, we have people, we want to make sure everything is inspected. And we don't want to find out something that was not done correctly to begin with. We want to do it right to begin with, so we don't have those problems of going back and have to redo something.
Will you be painting directly on the building on the other side?
Yes. Yes.
Questions? I think this is exciting.
It is, it's really new. I mean, it's new and different, and I think it'll be a great addition to the city. I think it'll be a great draw to downtown.
Mayor and council or the community hasn't seen the video, it's really worth watching. It's only a few minutes long and it's quite impressive.
And we really have not introduced this to the public. We have not introduced this to the downtown businesses because we wanted to come here first. So we are excited. I mean, they don't know what's going on a lot other than they've heard that we've got a grant. So we want to be able to introduce this to them. And the more involvement we can get from the businesses, downtown businesses, and the community members, the better the whole project will be, so.
We want them to have ownership, so we don't have to deal with vandalism and stuff like that with it.
I noticed that when we were going through the Main Street project, I went to Oskaloosa, they were Main Street City as well. Have you been down there, through their alleyways and stuff
Yes,
down there?
yeah.
And this is different, but the vibrant vibe that goes through that whole area when you have things that go through those alleys, and it makes it a presentation to not only the square, but the areas behind the alley, the squares as well. I think this is a great addition, Bob.
Well, there are several communities that have slowly started to do this. And once you get something done on, have you driven by some of our alleys around town, and usually you don't take your company down and drive down the alleys. But once you get one or two people on their businesses, on their own that decide they want to do something back there, and it really takes off and it becomes a destination in itself. So.
I think it also lends itself to better utilization of the parking lot to the north, which takes pressure off the parking on the square as well, because it's more inviting and safer.
Yeah.
We need a lighting in those alleyways for a long time.
Very excited.
Looks great.
It's gonna draw people to the alleys.
Jackie, where would the best place, or Bob, for the public to see that video?
It's on the slideshow.
Well, I know we had access,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so is the best for them to go through the city
We can add
council
it to our,
packet?
if the council
If we move
approves
on,
the
we can add it to
resolution,
the
we
website.
can add it to our website. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
Very good video. It is very good video. Okay,
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.
so item B, I would need a first and second motion on a resolution authorizing agreements for the Illuminate Indianola mural project.
Moved.
Any other questions? Jackie?
Councilmember Solms?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Graves?
Aye.
Shelby?
Item C is council committee reports. Councilmember Richardson, we can start with you if you have any. I know you just got the trip, had a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
Moving this way. Ron?
I do not have any.
I have an update on the landfill board. We met last month and gate fees, we voted to increase them by $1. We have been low for some time. And also we voted to do a study on all the other fees. What we're hearing is that we're low on some fees. We'll be doing that in 2025.
Thank you, Ju, for serving on that board. I know she just took all the wind out of that sail right there, right? But
Fine.
thank you.
It's been great on that committee, so.
Yeah, I do have one thing I should probably mention. And I know Steve has been to some of these too. January 10th, I know the Greater Des Moines Partnership is having their federal legislative policy group meet from 10 to 11 to 12 that day, I think. If I'm not, I sent you that email, Steve. Is it-
Yeah, yeah, it was something like that.
And then they're meeting again on January 31st as to finalize that. We have talked here among some of the council members and some of the Warren County Economic Development folks about adding a couple of things from Warren County, specifically Indianola related. One of them was the turning lane on 65, 69 to Highway 92. And the other one is trying to work with state or federal legislators to get some funding to make the remaining portion of Highway 92 from basically Center Chapel to Interstate 35 a Super 2, which would also then allow us to include a bike trail then to connect Somerset Trail with Great Western Trail. So those are things that I hope we can bring up on those two meetings. And I don't know if Steve's gonna go or not, or anybody else is welcome. But you can go to the Greater Des Moines Partnership website if you're interested in doing that, so.
To item D, you have council committee representatives. So looking into 2025, a couple of our organizations require we let them know by January 1st. So those are MPO and CERTA. I did speak with Jackie. We'll start with those ones. Well, first we have Bravo. That is vacant, but I think we're all gonna work with Bob and have conversations and see if we can find an appropriate person to serve that. It can be a citizen or elected official. The next one is CERTA. So in regards, we have two. We have the policy committee and then the tech committee. The tech committee is made up of AP as well as Wade. Wade's gonna learn a lot right in this right now, but so is anybody interested? Steve, I know you've served on that, I think a couple years. Interested in continuing it? Very loyal there. This is, I think, 4th straight year. That's good. So, okay. The next one is Des Moines MPO. Given my transition with the county, I told Jackie I will not be taking any committees. So this one is open if there is somebody. This is a really important committee. And they have, most of their meetings are available by Zoom. So is anyone interested in that? Again, it's very important because we can get a lot out of that if we really try. So we are trying. That's probably the inappropriate way to say that, but I think you understand that we just need to make sure someone can make sure they're there. A lot of them do fall about 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoons. And they're pretty short from the policy committee. Again, the tech committee is Wade and AP, so.
I served on that for 2 years, so I don't mind if you want.
We need a backup as well too.
On each of these?
No, we need a backup for each one. So
one
you wanna pick your main committees and come back and pick up your backup as. I just think, Ron, you,
Steve's back.
like you've been back up on like 911 and EMA, but I haven't had to ask him to go because
Since the meetings are hopefully later in the day.
I'm NPO, okay.
Yeah, on the
Perfect.
NPO.
Thank you. Would you like to think about CERTA, Melissa? Backup? Sure. I don't know when the times are.
It
Steve.
usually meets somewhere between 9 or 10 in the morning. It's usually an hour-long meeting. Sometimes they're at 7:30, depending on when they're called, but they could be as early as 7:30.
Are they available during?
AP, you're in here? Are those 7:30 meetings most of the time? Is that right? SERPA meetings?
Those are 9:30 meetings.
9:30? Okay, it must be MPO.
It's your, you know what, it's your downtown merchants, it's your Main Street, it's at 7:30, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
There's always one that's at 7:30. Okay.
Ron.
One board,
Sorry, we're on the MPOs. Dates are already out here too.
yes.
So
Yeah, and I believe, Jackie, do you have those? I think it came in the email, and so yeah, you can have those. I spoke with Chief Hurt today about the E911 board. I have served on that for a couple of years and I've really enjoyed it. It's really gonna help as we continue to look at EMS as an essential service in the county. Unfortunately, it is time for me to pass the reins on to our chief, and he has willingly. accepted that. So thank you, Chief Hurt, for doing that. And once Chief Hurt, Ron, we still have you kind of listed as the alternate. Once Chief Hurt gets his administration, he's only been in the job like a week and a half, so he'll be able to pick a backup. That would be appropriate. They usually do their countywide fire chief meetings anyways, immediately before or after, so it makes sense. And I think Chief Hurt's gonna do really well. It'd be great. So thank you. Greater Des Moines Convention Center, we will have 18 months severance. Steve, that's currently yours. I don't know if you want to give it up or pass it along.
Anybody wants it, they can have it. Otherwise, I can write out the 18 months.
That sounded really fun.
I mean,
It's all yours.
Josh is not gonna arm wrestle you, I don't think. Okay, congratulations. The landfill board, Councilwoman Sones and Councilmember Steve Armstrong have served on this one for the last 2 years, this year, and, well, no, because you've only been here once.
This 1 year.
So, I guess it's up to you guys if you wanna pass that along, continue it. And again, it only requires one of you in attendance, right?
No.
no.
You get two
We
Yeah, we
get
have
2
two.
votes. We really should both be there. It's
When are
not,
the meetings? And you have to be in person, correct?
No, you don't have to be in person.
We have an email and Zoom figured out.
we're working on
We're
it.
getting there.
Okay,
You can call in and it's every odd month, the second Wednesday.
Second or third Wednesday at 11, right?
Yeah, and they last no more than 30 minutes.
oh, so pretty, okay. So odd month and once. So, do you two wanna stay or vacate?
I like to give it up because there are other things I'm interested in. But if there's not anyone who
And you know,
is willing to take
she
it.
isn't here too, so
I did
I
talk to
guess we
her.
should give her some consideration when we're thinking these two. I know she had to previously step down from that because there was no option for doing it on the phone, which makes it very difficult with a full-time job. But
Yeah,
thank you to you two for helping get that.
Yeah.
So you would like to, how about you, Steve? Would you like to stay or?
I mean, I would love for somebody else to go to that one.
Me, Christmas sweater.
What was I doing?
I was like, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want that.
Well, the only thing
It's
I
a
will
fun
say
board,
is
right?
that I think this next year, it's gonna be critical to make some changes in the landfill, how it operates and things, and I appreciate the fact that these two have been pretty adamant on that board about some things, and I know you don't really wanna do it, but with your background and what you already know, I think it would be in our best interest if you could just hang on for one more year and maybe think about getting off of it. If we can make some things happen this year with that. That's just my thought, but you guys have to make.
Let's, you know what, and we don't have to finalize any of these this evening.
Right.
The only ones that truly needed finalized was MPO and SERPTA. And so, Steve, Metro Advisory, you've got, this is one we can just bring back up in January and all of you guys can discuss it as a group.
Christina.
Yeah, and talk to with Christina too. So do you want to stay on Metro Advisory?
I don't, yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I never get any information from them on anything, so.
It's pretty easy then, all right.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple other ones that I'll type this up and send it all off to you. The other ones that we'll need to loop Christina in with is Warren County Economic Development Corp. That's Wade. Congratulations again. And also served by Councilmember Rabe. And then we have Warren County EMA, which I am the primary. So I would ask if we could finalize that one this evening, if we could pick someone. I will tell you, we only meet about twice a year. This year, we only met once. It was during budgeting season and hearings. So the executive council really does the majority of the meeting and then brings everybody up to speed. So it's not a lot of time. They're at night. They're at like 6 or 7 usually, and they're about an hour.
Find me one I can attend. Yeah, I'll take that.
You've been waiting right in that spot, right?
Well,
You're like,
yeah.
here, the backup and, all right, so
The 11 o'clock is not my sweet spot. So
Yeah, this one
my
in-
employer doesn't seem to think it's.
this is also very easy to do with Zoom too. They've got it all the capabilities through the EOC with the, and the EOC with the county. So other really good options. You don't have to be there in person. And then we have the North and Middle Rivers Watershed Management Authority Agreement, which congratulations, Wade. And Councilmember Ray is an alternate for that. Would you like to stay as the alternate? That's
I've
what,
never gotten one invite to
Great.
anything, so sure.
sounds like a perfect.
Yeah.
Right? And then we have the Indianola Downtown Merchants, which is now I assume our Main Street Board, new name. So I'll go ahead. The ones that we need to finalize is landfill, Warren County Economic Development Board, an alternate for that, and Indianola Main Street. And then I'll let you guys have that discussion in January, and first meeting in January, have those finalized. All right, that means all the ones that we need to get right now, right, Jackie? I think so.
Yep, we'll just need to pass the resolution for.
Yeah, okay. Just with those ones.
Yeah, the merchants is no longer, yeah, it's the Main Street group, and they have set their board, and I talked to Wade this afternoon, and I've talked to Erica about this as well, that I'll probably get off of that. And since Wade has, I know he's been thrown on a lot of these things, we can look at those too, but he has Main Street experience with Colfax, and I think that's a great opportunity.
And we've always had two, so we could have an elected official.
We can find some.
Melissa, I know you really have been intimately involved with Main Street too, so that's something you guys wanna talk about. Okay, I'll send that email and let you guys fight it out for the remainder of those positions. I think we got quite a few pointed there. So moving on to item E, I would need a first and second motion on a resolution appointing the City of Indianola representation to the Des Moines Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, and the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Planning Alliance, CERTA.
Move.
Thank you.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, well, Steve, you're staying on CERTA, Melissa, the backup, and the tech committee, AP and Wade, and MPO, Steve and Ron. And the tech committee is Wade and AP. Jackie.
Councilmember Richardson,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Selby,
Aye.
Silms, Armstrong.
Aye.
Right, item F. Can I get a motion and a second to receive and file the November 2024 Treasurer's Report?
Moved.
Second.
Our esteemed treasurer here this evening. Any questions for Mr. Scholl?
I've got a question for Doug.
You do have a question?
I do,
All right,
yes.
well, come to the podium, distinct gentleman. He thought he was gonna get out of here unscathed.
Well, I at least talked to Doug ahead of time, so.
He was kind about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we get ready to go into our budget discussions in January, if you see anything that we should take a closer look at, you know, because I know Jackie and Roxanne are doing the same, that we need to look at, just let us know. So obviously, don't need to know tonight. So I just wanted to give you a heads up there as we start taking a closer look at everything. If you see something where you want us to take a deeper look, it'd be great.
I'll do that, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I think one of the things we really need to understand too, that our sewer fund dollars are not matching where we need to be. And so we really need to take a strong look at that. And I think that's something we probably need to talk about in January.
Move on to item 8, which is the mayor's report. Oh, I apologize. I got so excited. All those in favor to receive and file the November treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? In your section, are you gonna have a formal introduction of Wade? I don't want to, okay, you're gonna have to hear me talk as much then. So brief recap, on December 3rd, Warren County Economic Development Corporation hosted their annual Warren County Economic Impact Celebration. Like special thanks to Rachel with Warren County Economic Development Corp and Lucinda for all they did for that. Councilmember Sones and Councilmember Richardson also for attending alongside of me. The city would also like to extend congratulations to the following local businesses for their outstanding achievements and being named significant leaders here in the community. Page Turner Bookstores, congratulations on being named the Woman-Owned Business of the Year. It's a very well-deserved recognition, and it highlights the bookstore's vital role in supporting our community. Indianola Precast LLC, congratulations on being named Manufacturer and Producer of the Year. Prestigious award in a growing county currently, and so we're excited to have that be named in Indianola. And then Mayor's Youth Council, we finalized and finished up our Adopt a High School Student in Need program. We were able to adopt 13 local students in need and make their families holidays a little bit brighter. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Casey Garcia. She's still hiding in the back. She helped me at Walmart wrangle all the teenagers as they ran around shopping for the kids, and as well as Jamie Steffen, the Indianola Recreational Coordinator. The generosity of these young people and their supporters, it's truly a testament to the spirit of our community. And before I came here, I had an opportunity to deliver the last two, and the teenager was left in tears. And so it just reminds us that it's really nice to help people who need it right now. And to make sure that every high schooler has a memorable Christmas experience. That's all I have. So we will move on to public consideration. Under old business, we have the South K Street paving project. So can I get a first and second motion on a resolution approving a partial payment number 6 in the amount of $9,865.04 to Vanderpool Construction, change order number 5 in the amount of $27,262.92, and that is a positive back to us, correct, Jackie? Yes, even great. And a supplemental agreement for the South K Street paving project. So a first and second.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Turn it over to staff.
What a great project, and
Absolutely.
what a great effort on behalf of the mayor and council to listen to the public and the staff and our engineering firm to guide us in the right direction to save the residents. Overall cost of the project, and it's a benefit not only to the neighborhood and the overall area, that area of town, but the assessments are much lower. So kudos to all involved, and this is governance at its best. And so I want to say that to everybody. With that, I'll turn the time over to Dave and they can walk us through the assessment portion of this project, since it came
in significantly under our original.
And big kudos to Vanderpool as well.
Absolutely.
Fantastic job getting it done.
Do you remember, before you get started, and it might be in here, but do you remember the total cost which we initially were looking at? Was it around 7.2? 7.2, and we came in a little.
It was, I think the actual construction was like 2.9. What?
Yeah,
1.9 million.
I was thinking 1.8. Yeah, for the construction, but all the other components was in like a little over.
I mean, $5 million. Congratulations. That is amazing work, and it looks great. It really does. I'll turn it over to you.
The final pay application along with the supplemental agreement, because the seeding, although it was established, we are making sure with the supplemental agreement to make sure if there's reseeding needed, they will come back in spring to reseed that area. So you have the pay application allowing the retainage, and then finally a supplemental agreement. In addition to that, you have the Iowa, to meet Iowa Code Chapter 384, your special assessments. There's a series of resolutions that's needed to be approved. Our engineer has provided the completion statement. After the completion statement is released, council has to approve these resolutions in order to make sure that we are following the special assessment procedure for that. And Dave can go over that on the details on that.
Sure. The way that works is that in a certain period of time after acceptance of the work, we have to final out the project. That's part of the reason why we're using a supplemental agreement for the seeding for next spring, separating those two so we can close out the project and file the final assessments, file the final assessment plat. So basically we redo the whole process that we did with the preliminary assessments using the as constructed, as bid prices. And they've been significantly less than the preliminary assessment. Recall that you can't go, if the prices came in higher, they would be capped at the preliminary assessment. So it's kind of a win-win for those assessed property owners that they get to share in any of the savings, which on this project were significant. And then once the resolutions are adopted, then they get filed individually. All the assessed property owners at the county will see that on their taxes, and then they're due, just like regular tax, like we all pay every year. So it's really kind of very set forth in the code. So we're really kind of on automatic from here on out for the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have on the process or the project or something else.
On the assessments, Dave, I mean, they did come in significantly lower, no doubt about it. Some people still have a little bit of a cost there. Is that a 10-year option, or on the assessments that they can take 10 years to pay on that, or is it less than that?
I believe it's 10 years.
Yeah, okay.
If their assessment is higher than a certain amount, $500.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the higher than 5. And that's just, I did have that question from somebody, and so that was.
It's not higher than 500, then when's it due?
Just do the next
First year, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are very small. They're
Yeah.
some less than $500 assessment.
I don't think we had many, I didn't count them up, but there were not a whole lot that were, well, there was a couple over 10,000, but not very many. Will we have a separate line item in the budget that shows the collection on those assessments then? Is that how we do that, Jackie?
It'll go into that.
I'm sorry, what?
It should go back into the South K Street Fund.
Okay.
Thanks to your guys' good work, I've had other people reach out that live on other gravel roads now. Wanting the same thing. It is a fantastic project. I've drove down it a few times and definitely something to be proud of.
Thank you.
I know we've pivoted a few times on it at the beginning, so thank you for your patience with us as we work through that process.
It's a journey, yeah, for sure.
It is way too easy to go over the limit, so.
Watch your speed. Safety first.
I got caught by one of our finest on there the other day. I wasn't over 40 though, so just approaching it. Steve.
It's just a great project. I know everybody over there was really excited. I think there's gonna be a lot of people power washing their houses next year to get that dust off.
Yeah.
I've kind of heard that comment, and kind of like Ron said, heard from some people about, hey, my gravel road next. So, you know, I guess we'll see there, but yeah, I think people are really excited and it's great.
I echo all those statements. I won't even repeat them, but I will say in last week as well, and I noticed they were out grading 17th yesterday while I was trying to deliver something, and I felt really bad I was in their way, but then I thought, man, this is gonna be great once we do this one next. And I really want to thank you guys because it has been a journey. I think it's probably something, those of us that have been up here for the full 3 years of going through it, there was a lot of unknown and angst. Do we all remember the first community meeting at the activity center? And there was a lot of angst and angry people because we didn't know a lot yet. But what we know now is we save $5 million that we can invest back in our city, and everybody's happy and it's great. It's enjoyable to take our dogs down to the dog park now.
Yeah,
without
for
all the
sure.
dust. So
For sure.
thank you, and AP, thank you as well. And please extend that all to Vanderpool, all of our
A
things.
lot of hard work.
Absolutely. And I will say there are some sections, I know, I think Mr. Berkeley is very excited. His grass is looking great. It came in better, he said, than his own grass. So he's like, maybe I need to have him come back, just do that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. So the next item would be, we would need to vote. Jackie?
Councilmember Ray?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Stones?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Item B, I need a first and second motion on a resolution accepting the work.
So moved.
Second.
Any other additional questions? Jackie?
Councilmember Stones,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Dalby.
Item C, I need a first and second motion on a resolution ordering preparation of the final plat and schedule of assessments.
Moved. Second.
Thank you. Any other questions? Jackie?
Councilmember Stones,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Item D, a first and second motion on a resolution adopting and levying final schedule of assessments.
So moved.
Last chance for questions. Jackie?
Councilmember Richardson.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Stones,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Then, in other business, we'll move on to city managers report.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to hold off on my portion of the report, but I want to address the IWC portion, if that's okay, and to the residents that spoke and the residents that are here that care very deeply about the future of the IWC, because it is an asset in our community. It was back when it was approved by the voters, over 80%. It has been throughout the duration that the YMCA operated it, and it has been in the time that it has transitioned over. And that transition could not have happened without the help of the IWC board, as well as our wonderful staff that has helped in that transition. And so thank you to all of you. I do want to apologize, but before getting into the apology, I want to share that I believe that our mayor and our council have been extremely committed to the future of the IWC throughout the entire transition. First of all, recognizing the issues that were going on with the Y and having all the negotiations that took place with the Y, recognizing that in stepping away from it, they did so in expedited fashion so that it wasn't run into the ground before accepting it in, and the commitment that the council made towards not only taking the rent that was paid into a capital fund, but taking the Jerry Kelly project off the table so that we could reallocate those funds to support the IWC through the transition as well. And so there has been almost an $800,000 commitment between those two sources to the future of the IWC. Yes, the transition has been challenging from the staff perspective and probably from the board's perspective. But I think if there's any kudos, it's been near seamless to the members who've enjoyed it. And that's awesome. That goes to everybody in their effort to make it a success. And so, I just want to thank everyone there. But with the issue was that the YMCA wanted to step away because they were having a hard time trying to get the numbers to work. And when we inherited it not only with trying to do the same, but inherited a lot of unmet expectations when it came to maintenance. And so a major commitment has been made by the council to redo the one pool and put it on the plan to redo the other pool, to upgrade the HVAC system, to improve the technology, to improve the camera system. And all of those improvements really created quite the spike and up and down in capital. And that makes it really hard to budget and to plan and to figure out how to make that a sustainable path going forward. We've worked really hard to try to keep the costs exactly the same and make it so that we weren't impacting the members. But that meant we tried to, that was the revenue side, but from the cost standpoint, we kept the costs the same. And that meant that we weren't taking care of our staff as much as we could or should have. And we do need to put a priority on taking care of our staff going forward, not only in taking care of them for the services that they provide and making sure that they're paid at market rates, but having a staff that's not so thin and being able to make that an achievable goal going forward. And so that placed a burden upon the council, which placed a burden upon the staff, the unified staff, both the IWC staff and the city staff, which I do see as one. Coming up with solutions on how to make it financially sustainable so that this asset is an asset that's preserved in perpetuity. And that is the entire goal. That's why we're here trying to figure it out. Towards that end, we did engage with the city staff. We did engage with the IWC and have joint meetings with the council. to look at every option. And we hired Power Wellness to be able to come in and look at options, whether we do it internal, external, whatever. It was really to look at ways we could make it so that it is in the black, so that it's not a financial burden on the taxpayer. And that's really what it comes down to, is that this is a member-driven benefit. And while we want to grow membership, we also need to provide a value to that membership. And so there's got to be ways to figure out how to pay for new equipment and new paint and new carpet and fix the HVAC units that haven't been fixed yet and the other pool. And so there's a lot that needs to go on. So looking at and exploring options and ideas, I don't think that was a malicious intent at all. It was really just trying to collectively bring the community together and say, how do we do this? We'll need to talk to the school and we'll need to talk to Simpson, because we need to find a solution that's community centered. And so those are the short-term issues, but those are relatively small when you think about it. You know, our overall revenue from membership is about 1.2 million and our overall cost is about 1.5. Our gap is really only about 300,000. And of that, some of that is overhead and some of that is the capital spikes that we have. How do we smooth those out? How do we come up with a plan that makes it work and makes it so that we can financially take care of our staff and put new equipment in for the members and whatnot? So, you know, I do hope that the IWC board recognizes that going to a consultant really was to try to find solutions, and we engaged the board. The consultant was directed to spend time with the staff, with the members, with the board, to do a survey of the members, to find solutions that are community focused. Those are short term. Long term, we really want to look at what is the financial benefit to the entire community. Well, Jackie gave a presentation last week where she shared that prior to the IWC coming in, the value of that ground was $4 million. And today the value of that ground and everything around it is $40 million. What a great asset. That is a gem in our community that has just blossomed with all of the development around it. And that is the long-term benefit. That's where our community blossoms and grows and creates less of a burden on all of our residents. And so we saw the agreement with Summercrest as an expansion of what took place in Hillcrest. $29 million of new investment with new facilities that will have a field house, and immediately it'll have 3 basketball courts. And it's a little bit challenging for them to figure out how to put their basketball in and make that work. And so they build the expansion one with 3 or 4 additional basketball courts that would come in. And so there's a short period of time that we need to work together. And I know it was a very last minute deal and we were trying to get that locked in because the sale of the property was really on edge. In fact, the property was gonna, in order to extend it 4 days, it became a real challenge with the farmer to close that deal. And so I did reach out to staff and unfortunately wasn't able to connect. And I did try to engage, but initially the development agreement with the Summercrest development was set up such that it basically initially said that the parties will work together in good faith to come up with a shared use agreement. Because we recognized, and I think the developer recognized, the roads aren't even in yet. The field house hasn't even been built yet. We've got at least 1 year to 2 years before that facility is built and creates any kind of impact. There hasn't even been an executive director hired yet. And so at some point, they will come together with Heather and her team and find the use and the balance that makes sense. We're in it together, but to see $29 million worth of investment into our community is fantastic. It'll bring thousands of people in with a baseball complex and a field house and new housing that's within walking distance. And yes, the rate may not be the highest, the rental, but it'll bring thousands of people through the center and we can capitalize it in other ways, either through membership or through the sale of concessions or other things. We can make better utilization of the space and we can turn it profitable so that it is something that is moving forward in the long term for everybody's good without being a burden. And that's the whole goal, because let's face it, it is not a burden. IWC is the reason that the whole area blossomed. It's the reason there's a $29 million investment. And it's also right at the forefront. Anytime anyone from an economic development standpoint comes in and wants to look at our community and whether they want to bring in jobs and investment, the very first thing they ask us is, what amenities do you have to provide to our employees? And the IWC always comes up first. This is, I think if we look at it in the perspective of, we didn't communicate this quickly. It was a deal that was coming through very fast, and we do apologize. I apologize personally. And blame me. It's easy. I'm the guy out the door. And we blame Charlie for everything. Now you can start blaming me for everything, and I totally accept that. But with that said, I think the council's commitment in that $29 million deal is, we're fully behind the IWC. At least we just entered into a 5-year agreement to bring more revenue and more people in. That shows a commitment even further. And so I just want to say that it's all in the perspective and how we look at it. I just want to thank the IWC board. We are surprised by the action. We respect what the resignation. We understand the political point that you're trying to make. We do need to do better, and we will commit to try to communicate and be more united. And we're not us versus them, but we're together. But in the future, we still need to invest more into an HVAC, into a pool, and to new equipment. And we've got to find ways that takes care of that together, because we are faced with financial pressures like never before, with the reduction of the ability to even increase taxes. It's not like we can choose to increase taxes. The state's putting a cap on us, not letting us. And so we've got to find ways to fund all of the many city services that we provide. So we just want to thank you. And with that, we accept the resignation. And I believe that with the transition and leadership and whatnot, we just wanted to take the time to get through the holidays, to talk about it, to digest it a little bit, and to come back in January and further discussions about how best to move forward. So with that, does the council want to say anything or share anything?
I think you hit it. I would like to thank our board of trustees. I was very proud of the board of trustees that we built. I felt that this was some of the best work we could have done, putting all of these collaborative people in together. So thank you for your time. And we must do better. I shared that sentiment with Heather the day we received your resignation, and it is vital that we support Heather and the team there, and we make sure that we give them the resources to be successful. Anything to say?
Yeah, I was, to echo your comments, and I think it was Angie talking about, how to learn from this. And one of the things I think we can talk about going forward with Wellness Campus to maybe help bridge that gap a little bit, and I know what I'm probably going to open myself up here to, is, do we have a council liaison that goes to any future? And that's something we'd probably work, Heather, with you with, to go and partner at your meetings to bridge that gap so that we can bring each other along in both directions. So I think that's something for us to consider as we move forward. So
that's an excellent recommendation. As long as Heather, but I do think that's important that we have someone there.
Passed out, Jackie gave us some documents at the last meeting about the original details of the deal as it was all put together in 2012, 2013. And I think the two things that stuck out to me in that whole document was the 2080 agreement between the school and the college, and now we need to go back and take a look at that. I think that's probably one of the things that we need to do fairly quickly, again, with staff and direction and talking with them too. But I do think that's probably something we need to put on the agenda very quickly in this next year to take a look at, along with figuring out the best way to handle that 501(c)(3) that would allow whatever one we use, and whether we create a new one or whether or not we actually use the one that's currently with Park and Rec. But I do think that those are two things, but I will tell you this, the staff made a first good move in the fact, and I know it doesn't sound great, but we hadn't been collecting sales tax on the actual fees that we were asking our residents to pay to join that, and we were paying that out of pocket and came out of the fees that we were receiving. And that alone, if I'm not mistaken, was close to $80,000. And so right off the bat, I think we've got some opportunities to close that gap very quickly. And I think if we take a look at that 2080 agreement and we take a look at and starting collecting those after January 1st, I think is when we're gonna start doing that. That immediately drops that gap almost in half of what we are in the red. And so I'm with Ben. I don't think it's much more than to figure out how we make up that other difference and then how we start moving forward from there. So I just think those are a couple of things that we probably need to talk about and get on the agenda very quickly in the early part of the year so we can start moving those things forward.
Member Delby.
Fine, thanks.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, to go into the rest of my report really quick, maybe not really quick, but I first want to thank my staff for the last two and a half years. It's been just an honor working with them. Great people, and I want to thank the mayor and the council and all the support that they've given and all the projects we've been able to accomplish along the way. I think all of our partners, Simpson, the Chamber, Main Street, After Bloom Classics, the school district, the county, Warren County Economic Development, IMU. We can't do things unless we do it as a community and we come together. And so a lot of effort has been done. And I share this because you hired me shortly after you came in. There's no one on this council that's been on for more than 3 years. And so I'm kind of what you've entrusted to me is your accomplishments and the community's accomplishments altogether. So I want to thank the residents and all the volunteers. I mean, we have so many boards here and so many volunteers here. It's amazing how many people come together. I remember the first week I was here, I went outside and there was a parade. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I messed up. I didn't have a float for the mayor and council and I didn't have candy available and whatnot. So I contacted them and said, mayor and council, you're supposed to be in this parade. And they're like, well, there's a parade every weekend. So, okay, because it's usually one big parade per year. So, but in the time that you have served, there's been the completion of the square, the completion of the state-of-the-art sewer treatment plant, the Hillcrest project, K Street project we just talked about, the Main Street designation, 92 and Buxton Light isn't quite done, but it's going to be done in March timeframe. Clinton, Franklin, N Street, the first facade program, the second one, the CDBG that's going on right now, acquisition of Regions Bank and the changes that are going on there, and the facilities discussion to try to address issues of the past that haven't been resolved and trying to figure out how to take care of every department and do so in a fiscally responsible manner. All of these development agreements will help lend themselves to it, from Hillcrest to Summercrest to Kentucky Ridge and Life in the Village and Emerald Bay and Deer Run that will be coming up. We created a facilities department, a communications department where it's communicating better than ever with our residents. And Aaron has done such a fantastic job there, JT in the facilities, Jason in the IT and on the support of other departments. We have a new fire chief and this past week, and we have a new police chief in that time period, new leadership in both organizations. So many great things have happened, and yet there's more to accomplish. We have to find ways to come up with facilities for our police and our fire department and the city hall, taking a new library and the great things that took place with the county land exchange, which was approved by the county this past week. It's been spring to the end and there's more to accomplish. I love Councilman Zrabe's quote that he shares from time to time. It's not ours, it's just our turn. And it was your turn and you've accomplished great things and this community has accomplished great things. We often get lost in the fight of the day and the issues of the day and the weeds that are in front of us without seeing the forest and all the good things that have been accomplished. And it took all of you to do that. And with that, I hand the baton off to someone better than me. And I say that because when we were interviewing Wade, Charlie and Courtney and I had this interview, and Charlie got off the interview and he goes, he's better. We hired Wade to be the new Charlie. And I've said that as I was going around town, and Josh corrected me. He says, no, it's not the new Charlie. He's not the new Charlie. He's the new and improved Charlie. And he's going to be interim Ben. So he's the new and improved Ben. And so we're really honored to have Wade Wagner come and join us in the role of Deputy City Manager of Development and Operations. But now with your action tonight, interim city manager. He comes with years of experience in Iowa as a city manager, a community and economic development director, a planning background, which is going to help us in all of these different fronts. And so with that, I will turn some time over to Wade to have him introduce himself to all of you.
Well, I certainly hope I live up to all of that. There's a couple of projects tonight that reminded me of, especially the one Bob presented on with the little pocket park. We did that in our main street, and I was talking to Steve earlier today about Main Street, and it brings to mind way back in September, Ben came up when Indianola was just initially becoming a main street. He went to a 15-year celebration that we had, and Penny and he sat with my wife and I, and my wife said to me on the way home, she was like, "You're really going to enjoy working for him." And this past week I have, and I wish it was longer. But just in concluding, I guess kind of my leadership philosophy is listen, learn, and lead. I'm still firmly in the listen category. So with that being said, I'll just drop my voice.
Board, we are very excited. You'll have to tell people to stop talking so well nicely about you though, because again, your counterparts in Norwalk are very excited to see you back in Warren County. So we all are. And did you have anything else on your report? I know we have the discussion of future agenda items.
That was a request from Councilman Richardson.
So I guess from council members' perspective, just a few moments if we can talk, if there's anybody that has anything that we think we probably need to take a look at fairly early in the year. I know that one of the discussions I think we talked about off and on is the Vision 2030 project, and if we're moving forward with that and somewhere along the line, and I know there's been a few council members asked to put that on the January 6th agenda, so I'm gonna guess that we'll probably take a look at that at that point in time and have some discussion. If there's anything you want staff to bring at that point in time, I did ask Wade to talk to Mike Maloney and talk about some funding options, but also we need to talk about, I think in that same area, we need to talk about debt and debt load and debt limits and those kinds of things, and let that information come along as well. And so if we need Mike, if he can do that, or if we need to have staff work on that, then that's something that we want to try to take a look at, and that's probably true too. And I don't know how long down the road we want to wait on some of the things with IWC, but I would think we want to put some of that stuff on the agenda fairly early in January as well. The reason I'm talking about 2030 is if we're going to move forward with that, folks, we probably need to put a timeline together, and we need to get some information about what's available and whatever decision we make at that point in time. So, but if there's anything else you think we need to talk about, and I think now is probably the time to kind of say, okay, we'd like to talk about that. I do know that we have some budget workshops we're doing. Is that what are the dates on it?
January 9th and January 16th.
January 9th and 16th.
Are you hosting those here in the chambers or again at People's Bank?
I think we're just gonna do them here.
Probably here. January 8th also is we're trying to put together a forum with some of our elected officials, with the state elected officials. I think we've had one turn us down, and I've talked personally with one that said she would be here. I don't think we've got a formal acceptance yet from Cassandra yet, but I'll talk to her again. And I haven't heard anything from Senator Garrett, but we've invited all the city people in Warren County, the county folks. We've invited school board, I believe, has been invited, and we've also invited the Knoxville city and Knoxville or the Marion County supervisors if they want to attend as well, because that's part of that district that flows back and forth between Warren County and Marion County. And the issue is we're gonna talk a lot about how revenues come into the cities and how revenues are expended in the cities. And so that's really what that's all about. It's January 8th, 6 o'clock out at the community center, activity center. And so that's what we'll be doing January 8th. But anyway, if there's any agenda items you think you want to talk about or kind of put on the schedule somewhere down the road, let's talk.
Real quick on that, if none of these representatives or senators are going to come, do you intend on still having?
I do. Yeah, I think we at least we can get together. I thought it was good last year when we came together and talked about issues. And so we'll have some folks from the league there as well. And I think it's going to be an opportunity to kind of, again, talk about things and how we can work together to either influence legislation or not influence legislation if they don't decide to come. So.
I think last week and I missed this in my report, I'm looking right at her, we had a really good legislative luncheon with the chambers here and with Carlisle, Norwalk and Indianola. So thank you to our chamber president. I'm sorry I missed that, but it was a really good conversation of just open dialogue, asking some questions, and nobody asked the House File 718 question because we were running out of time, but we all individually asked that too.
I think it's more than just I don't want to say that January 8th meeting is a meeting just to talk about property taxes. I think we really need to talk about how cities expend the money and what we see happening. And I think one of the things that comes about is our inequities in our fire and EMS services and how that's not paid equitably by the townships. But more importantly, how do we spend our dollars and what do we get out of it and what do our residents expect out of those dollars? And if you take that dollar bill and you look at how it's expended and where it goes, I think there's a lot of amenities that our people want, but yet people don't realize that those things come out of your tax dollars as well. So we have to talk about how we spend the dollars and how we do it in a very sustainable but well looked at way too. So
that township one and Doug Bolton, I will refer to you on that. Townships, isn't it legislatively, we can't charge them more. It's only cities such as like Cummings, but townships, they are.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I believe through my E911, I'm looking back at my chief to see if he's also a city council member too, so he might just know. I think townships, we cannot increase theirs.
No, we can drop it. You can't terminate the 2080 agreement.
I know with Norwalk, they
Sure.
worked with Cummings and what they basically said was, we can't subsidize you. We need to be on parity. So you can raise your own property taxes, you can do your own thing, but you need to pay us a
Whatever
different
dollars
revenue
it is.
source to match that. And then they gave them a several year step in to be able to do it. So it was financially affordable. And so they found the solution that works for both.
I think we're gonna continue to work on that. I think that the county's having a really big conversation, and I spoke with Chief Hurt today about that as well too. We need to do a feasibility study to see what countywide EMS would cost. Because definitely we want to free up our services to be here for the residents paying.
Right. But I guess the point I'm trying to make on the January 8th thing, it's not just about complaining about, cutting revenues and things like that. It's more about how do we really spend our dollars to benefit our community and to benefit not only our community, but our county that we serve 125 square miles of EMS services. So it's really about educating and talking about things. And if, like I said, if we don't get any of our legislators there, I think there's a lot of opportunity for discussion on topics that we need to look at. And how we go about working with our legislators to make that happen. So
128 square miles.
I said 125 square miles.
125. That didn't know. Thanks. Anybody else have something you'd like to add for that? Things to talk about at that next one.
I'll just say, you mentioned the budget workshop, so it's gonna be a little different this year. So if you love it, Jackie did it. If it sucks, I did it. So blame me if you don't like it. Jackie gets the credit.
I appreciate you two gritting that out and figuring out a process. Steve was all geeked out afterwards, so I knew it had to be exciting, right?
It was fun.
Good.
Yeah.
He did say it was all your idea too, though, Jackie. All right. Well, if there's no other items, please if there are items, definitely reach out to Jackie. Item B, discussion and direction on the Kentucky Ridge URP and development agreement. At the last meeting, I asked for you guys to consider reimbursement of a traffic study. And I sent on December 6th that background information. I did not hear back from anybody, so if there's questions, I'd be happy to answer on that information. If not, we can move on to Ben and see what his recommendation would be here.
So we had a lot of development agreements, and the bottleneck in all of them was the Hillcrest 8. That one, of course, is done and it's behind us, and Summercrest is done, and it's going through its process of second and third readings. And Kentucky Ridge is done except for this potential amendment. Wesley Life will be on the 6th, and when that'll be done. And Emerald Bay is the one that's in process right now. We're gearing up for the public hearing on the 20th. And then after that, one in the pipeline was Deer Run. If the council wants to move forward with an amendment to the Kentucky Ridge, we just consider that one the next one in the pipeline. And just to reiterate what the process would be, it's a fairly easy change to the urban renewal plan, and a fairly easy change to the development agreement. However, it does, the urban renewal plan has to set a public hearing. You have to wait 28 days in between there, then you have to have a public hearing with the development agreement. You have to take it through planning commission, and you also have a meeting with the school district in the county to go through that process. And so it will take some time. And so you have time to consider, to think about it and whatnot, study the merits research and whatnot. But it is something that we certainly can continue to work on and the timeline that we have. So.
What's the man hours it's gonna take to redo it all? As far as how much in legal do you think and how much in staff time?
It's because we've gone through the process, because we've already created it, and that was the big hurdle. Now that we have the URA and we have the development agreement, there will be probably a few hours of legal time getting all the documents prepared and whatnot. Maybe 4 to 8 hours of that, something of that nature. And then it's mostly Jackie who works this through the whole process, and it shows up on new agendas. And so getting there the first time was a huge hurdle. Getting there now is probably 4 to 8 hours of legal time and maybe double that of staff time is more there. And you don't have to make a decision tonight, but you can, whatever you want to do.
What kind of timeline are we looking at on this then? Is it something that's gonna take a whole series of public hearings again and go through that process?
It will. So like I said, we're planning on the 6th and the 20th being the next two development agreements that we're working on. The one that we really need to spend a significant amount of time on is the Deer Run one. And that's really trying to negotiate with the developer to find what makes sense. Charlie did a little bit of that research. He actually did the questionnaire and legal description and whatnot before he left. So I appreciate him and his services there. And so I would imagine it would be late February, early March timeframe for your consideration. So maybe you go through the budget process first and you talk about that.
Did I remember catching something that the actual signal at that intersection would not be something that would be able to be done right away anyway? Is that memory bank clouded here?
And we have our engineers and our public works director here to give a little bit more information on this, but basically there are several warrants that could warrant a new signal light. And one of those warrants is accident. Another one might be traffic counts and cross traffic counts and things like that. I slept at the Holiday Inn before, so I pretend to be an engineer knowing what I'm talking about here. But we have warranted one based on the accidents. And so a light can go in. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the highest priority project for the city compared to other projects. Now, as the Kentucky Ridge development goes forward and it creates more traffic at that, it will increase the potential warrant. So maybe we trigger 2 warrants instead of just 1. So it's on the horizon that we need to put it in our capital improvement plans. It warranted it before the project began, and that's the result of the study. And so that's, I think, the reason for the request from the Adams is because it was warranted before the study. We do require a traffic study of every development. Especially if it ties into Iowa DOT, because we need to get their buy-in as our partners as well. So it's all in how you look at it and how you want to move forward.
So we require it for every project, is what you're saying. Do we customarily, do they get reimbursed, or is this a new precedence?
Well, it depends. This would probably be a new precedent for this particular project.
Not a new precedence, though. I want to just interject. It's not a new precedence if we told the developer, which is in the information, and nobody asked for the text message from the city staff who told the developer they would reimburse it. It would be added into the development agreement. So the day of our meeting with the URA, I asked, can we add this language? We were all in the email. Leave the public hearing open and vote on it at our next meeting. And I was told we could make an amendment. Amendments are easy. It's the same as the conversation in regards to the $40 million library. We'll make amendments. Those are easy. So again, we had a city staff member tell this representative and tell me as well, yes, we will put it in the development agreement. I think it's the best thing to do because prior to anything being done, the warrants were already there per the email you responded with. The accidents were already there. And that was the issue where you said, why are you requiring me to do it? If the warrants were already there, I can tell you what it's gonna say.
Mayor, if you don't mind me finishing.
Absolutely, sure.
I mean,
but
your great advocation.
Sure, Josh, but it's not setting, Josh, actually,
I'm
no,
asking
it's not
staff a
setting a
question.
precedence. If it was promised.
Thank you for your opinion. It's not something that we've done, right? It would potentially establish a type of precedence for projects going forward. We had an agreed upon deal, and now we're changing, which not saying right or wrong, I'm asking
Read
questions.
your email and all the information is there from public meetings. I think we'll probably have to come back on January because.
And that's just fine.
I think that email from December 6th is important for all of you to read. It is your job. And it's also your job to meet the expectations of, in July, he was told by our staff, it would be put in the development agreement. So when he sees the development agreement, why isn't it in there? And that's what he asked me to present to council, which I presented. I'm in a tough spot because I've also got the information from staff in a text message. If you want to see it, to back it all up, please, I will be happy to share it. There is very detailed information there.
I've read all your emails and I appreciate that. I was simply trying to ask
It's
staff.
not setting a precedence. If you told them, you would pay for it.
So
would you guys have anything to say on the matter?
If I could just finish really quickly, just saying, each project is unique. And with each project being unique, we are paying for different things. So in this particular case, maybe the precedent or the new unique thing is the traffic study. In Emerald Bay, it's the realignment of an intersection and putting in a turn. In Summercrest, it's the extension of Willowcrest. So yes, it is maybe setting a precedent that we're putting Willowcrest in, but it's unique to that development and for why you go through a development agreement process. And ultimately, the staff doesn't have the authority to approve, even if it's in a text message, but it is up to the council. And so I think the direction we're really seeking is, should we come back and add that amendment in? And it's very possible, and it probably would not be onerous to do so because of the big work. So I'm just trying to, I don't wanna.
No, you're doing fine, Ben, from my perspective. I had a few questions, but I don't think there's any point in asking them, so continue going on at this point.
Would you guys have anything to contribute to it? You guys can bring it back on January 6th.
I mean, going through the email, it kind of seemed like our intent was to have it in there originally, so.
We told the developer.
I would lean towards that. It doesn't sound like the amendment process from this case is going to be overly rigorous, so I would support moving forward with with that, so.
And
That's where
just
my
to
direction is.
restate, you don't need to bring anything back next week. It would be in the pipeline.
Sure,
So
you,
it's gonna
you
be-
just start the staff process, I
Right,
guess.
right,
But
which-
I don't know if there's a clear direction to give right now, unless you guys wanna give a clear direction. I've said what I need to say. But if you wanna do that, or if you would like to think about it and give staff direction.
I agree. If we told Lee it would be paid for, I feel like we need to follow through on our end.
I'm not sure we have much direction to give you right now, so maybe that lack of silence is the direction, but again, I think this is something they can discuss then.
When we get it ready to start spending any time from staff or legal, we'll bring it back at that time when it's right. The issue's right.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a first and second motion to enter into closed session in accordance with Iowa Code Section 21.51J to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the governmental body would have to pay for the property or reduce the price the governmental body would receive for that property. Thank you. Jackie.
Councilmember Richardson?
Aye.
Beach? Oh, sorry, Brave?
Aye.
Dolby?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
All right, we'll take a quick 5-minute break.